Hello everyone, I'm really excited for this video because it's something that I've never done before. Instead of analyzing scenes from Arcane, I'm going to be creating some headcanon and theories. For this video, I'm focusing on what might have happened to Vi during her time in Stillwater. In a way, this kind of theorizing can be done with almost every major character in Arcane given the time skip between the first and second acts. But I definitely find Vi's the most intriguing, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts and hear what you guys have to say. So without further ado, let's jump right in. In order to begin my headcanon, I needed a starting point, and I thought that a really good source of inspiration could be Vi's tattoos. Because no matter how big or small, and whether serious or silly, tattoos always have a story. And as I pondered Vi's tattoos, her potential prison life quickly started forming. I read a few articles about how prison tattoo culture works, and it's really fascinating. Contraband tattoo machines are MacGyvered from materials from things such as beard trimmers, CD players, guitar strings, and ballpoint pens. The prisoners who develop their craft for inking can then offer their skills in exchange for what they need, whether that be money, materials, cigarettes, or other favors. Making tattoo machines and or inking prisoners is a much more lucrative gig than any prison job that's available, so it's a much better way of living for those who are able to offer those types of services. And tattoos have a constant flow of demand because they can represent all sorts of different things. Badges of inmates' identities, accomplishments, whether they be good or bad, bravery, commitment to loved ones, and even conformity to prison's culture of having to look rough and rugged. Given that Vi just lost all of her loved ones and was now alone as a young girl in Piltover's worst prison, I could easily see why she would want a tattoo for many, if not all, of the reasons I listed. She needed something that couldn't be taken away from her, that would be with her wherever she went, as remembrance for the people she loved most. She needed the tattoos to be large and visible for all to see so that everyone in Stillwater, inmates and guards included, would know that she's tough, brave, and not afraid to break the rules. And most of all, for her survival, she needed to conform to prison life. So if this is what she wanted, then she needed to offer something in return. This has me thinking about what Vi said to Caitlin at the brothel.
You expect everyone to give you what you want. If you really want people to talk to you, you have to let them think you have what they want.
Most viewers speculate that this is something that she learned in the lanes, and although I agree with that, I want to revise that sentiment a bit. Vi definitely saw that in action through Vander and other people in the lanes, but she learned how to make it her own in Stillwater. For instance, if she wanted these tattoos, what could she offer? And that, I think, is pretty easy. Despite how much smaller she is than other prisoners, she's strong and could fight and defend others. Initially, I doubted whether she could be so strong that everyone at Stillwater would be scared of her and she could use her strength to get what she wants. But then I watch scenes like this and think about how she probably devoted all of her spare time in Stillwater to just getting stronger than that. So yeah, I think it's definitely something she can offer and something that people would want. One headcanon that started writing itself once I thought of this tattoos for defense scenario goes like this. Word has been going around that Vi, this young girl, is quickly becoming one of the toughest inmates in Stillwater. There's an older inmate who's serving a life sentence and has softened over the years, and now devotes their time to commemorating other inmates' lives through tattoos and other forms of art. This artist has a strong reputation among the prisoners, and few bother them despite their old age because their craft is so strong, and in the end, everyone really wants what this inmate has to offer, a chance for their lives to be commemorated instead of just being forgotten in prison. As the artist gets older, they've made this rule to the art they create. The art must commemorate something good and precious, because it's much more important to be remembered for good things than bad. There's another inmate who leads one of the most rampant gangs in Stillwater who the artist refuses to create anything for because of his malicious intentions, and the gang begins to threaten the artist. And this is where Vi comes in. She eventually hears about this artist's services and the two meet. She's unaware of the artist's conflict with the prison gang leader, so she's timid in asking them for a tattoo because she feels like there's nothing she can offer. But the artist reveals not only that Vi actually can be very helpful to them, but also that they can very clearly see that Vi has a good heart, so a friendship forms. As Vi carries out her part of the deal by defending the artist, the two spend a lot of time together and her tattoos get larger and larger, starting just as a few gears on her neck to a whole mural across her back. Large tattoos like this take time, and the canvas puts a lot of trust in the artist. The conversations that these two have range from the artist telling Vi all the dynamics in Stillwater and crazy stories that they live through, to Vi opening up about her family, especially about Powder. Vi is being vulnerable, but it's nothing compared to what she would later go on to share with Caitlin. The narrative she shares with the artist is hopeful and confident. She says stuff like, "I know Powder's still out there, and that's why I need to get out of here. I'm getting stronger, and I'm going to rescue her, and she's going to see these tattoos and know that I always cared for her." Vi's vulnerability will be cloaked in this false confidence, but it would give both her and the artist lots of hope during their time in Stillwater. When Vi is vulnerable with Caitlin on the bed, that's true vulnerability. She's telling Caitlin something she's never told anyone before, and something that's been eating her up inside, her failures. But as for her time in Stillwater, Vi keeps those kinds of thoughts to herself. But she now has tattoos that serve as a memorial for her loved ones, a badge of strength for the new friend that she defends and fights for, and a rough exterior that shows the people of Stillwater that she shouldn't be messed with. There are 2 more points about Vi's life in prison that I want to make that are inspired by scenes from Acts 2 and 3. The first one is when Caitlin is talking to the guard at Stillwater.
How many chats have you had with her?
You know, I never even thought to count.
To talk about Vi's time in Stillwater, unfortunately, is to also talk about the abuse that she went through. As tough as she was, there were countless times that she was beaten, because more than any weapons or brute force, authority is a truly powerful and evil weapon that not even the strongest of people can always prevail against. However, I have neither the expertise nor the desire to go in depth about her abuse because I don't want to misdiagnose things or trigger anyone. What I do want to talk about, though, is that amidst all the abuse, Vi talks about what sustained her throughout her time in prison.
I spent so many nights in that shitty prison on that freezing floor, hungry, bloody, counting the hours. The only thing that kept me going was the thought of getting back to you.
Vi thought of her sister on the hardest nights, but I believe that there's more that sustained her, namely the idea of Powder and the words of Vander. Vi loving the idea of Powder rather than Powder/Jinx herself has been touched on by a lot of other fans and is the whole narrative of the dinner table scene in the final episode, so I want to focus on the times where Vi shows just how tightly she's held onto Vander's words. The first scene is where Caitlin is taking care of Vi's wound and tells her,
You have a good heart.
Then Vi hears Vander saying those same words.
You've got a good heart.
Before she blacks out. Having a good heart and believing that she had a good heart is what kept her alive at Stillwater and what allowed even the tattoo headcanon that I came up with to even work in the first place. Vi is physically strong, but her heart is even stronger. How do we know that? Because of the second time where Vander's words ring strongly in Vi's ears as she fights Sevica in the last drop.
Well, your guard needs work. I wish I could say it gets easier, kiddo, but I'd be lying. What I can say is, she still needs you. They all do. So what do you say? That's my girl.
I don't think this is a quote that we hear Vander saying to Vi in the first act, but it's safe to assume that it's definitely something he said to her not just once, but many times before. At this point in the fight, Vi is so physically weak. She probably felt this weak and exhausted during countless fights in Stillwater. So I'm guessing that Vander's words helped her get up in fights many times in prison, especially when Vander was fresh in her memory. The reason why hearing Vander's words strengthens her so much is not because she's so physically strong in the moment, but because Vander's words make her heart and will stronger. And this isn't just true in this fight with Sevica, but it was true during her time in Stillwater, and it will be true in many more times to follow. This video was so fun to make, and more than ever, I'm excited to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the headcanon? Have you ever thought of scenarios that Vi went through during the time skip? Do you agree or disagree with any of my analyses at the end of the video? Or even, would you want me to theorize time skips for any other characters? Let me know, because your feedback is what keeps me motivated and excited to keep creating Arcane content. Please check out my channel for other videos I've made, such as my in-depth character analysis of Heimerdinger and compilation and analysis of underrated Kate Vi moments. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.